The Defiance. The vastness of space stretched before Commander Elena Reyes like an endless canvas of darkness punctuated by distant stars. From the command deck of the UES Defiance, Earth's most advanced warship, she watched the holographic display with unwavering focus. The projection showed what their long-range sensors had detected: a massive fleet of Ziraxian warships approaching from the Arcturus sector. "How many?" "Tactical," Elena asked, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Lieutenant Commander Daichi Takahashi's fingers danced across his console. 217 vessels, Commander. Varying classes. At least 43 of them are Dreadnought class or larger. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. The Ziraxians, a species that had spent millennia conquering and assimilating dozens of civilizations across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy, had finally turned their attention to humanity's corner of space, and were the only ship within response range. Elena said, more a statement than a question. "Yes, Commander," First Officer Alejandro Vargas confirmed. "The nearest battle group is 3 days out at maximum FTL. By then..." He didn't need to finish. By then, the Halcyon colony with its 3 million inhabitants would be nothing but ashes. Elena straightened her uniform and studied the tactical display. The Defiance was humanity's most advanced vessel, the first and only of its class. Built in secret over 15 years, incorporating technology that most of humanity's own leadership didn't know existed. But it was still one ship against an armada. "Open a channel to the Ziraxian command vessel," Elena ordered. Moments later, the bridge view screen flickered to life, revealing a Ziraxian high commander. Its chitinous exoskeleton gleamed under the lights of its bridge, compound eyes reflecting multiple images of Elena and her crew. "Human vessel." The Ziraxian's translator rendered its clicking speech into English. "Your presence has been acknowledged. The collective has determined that humanity's expansion threatens galactic stability. Your species will be contained. Resistance will result in eradication rather than assimilation. You have 1 planetary rotation to surrender your colony and withdraw." The transmission cut off before Elena could respond. A deliberate insult. The Ziraxians didn't consider humans worthy of dialogue. "They've underestimated us before," Elena said quietly. "That's why we're here." 2 years earlier, the Ziraxians had attacked a remote human research outpost, believing it to be defenseless. They hadn't expected the experimental weapons platforms being tested there. The outpost had been destroyed, but it had taken 7 Ziraxian cruisers with it, the first defeat the collective had experienced in centuries. Elena had been one of 3 survivors. "Dr. Kavita, status of the NEXUS system?" Elena asked. Dr. Seema Kavita looked up from her station. As the architect of the Defiance's revolutionary integrated defense system, she had more riding on this encounter than anyone except perhaps Elena herself. "NEXUS is fully operational, Commander. All subsystems green. The adaptive algorithms are primed and ready to learn." Elena nodded. "Mr. Vargas, battle stations. Lieutenant Wade, plot intercept course. Let's meet them before they reach the colony." Klaxons sounded throughout the ship as crew members rushed to their combat positions. The Defiance's engines pulsed with blue-white energy as it accelerated to meet the approaching armada. "They're scanning us, Commander," Takahashi reported. "Standard Ziraxian protocols, energy signatures, weapons capabilities, shield harmonics." "Let them look," Elena replied. "NEXUS, initiate Phantom protocols." Phantom protocols engaged. The ship's AI responded, its voice calm and measured, generating false signatures. To the Ziraxian scanners, the Defiance would appear as a standard human heavy cruiser, dangerous but ultimately manageable for their fleet. The ship's true capabilities remained hidden behind layers of technological deception. As the distance closed, Elena studied the Ziraxian formation. Despite their technological superiority, the Ziraxians were creatures of habit, relying on tactics that had served them well for millennia. Their ships moved in mathematically precise patterns, efficient but predictable. "They're deploying into sunburst formation," Takahashi observed. Elena smiled grimly. "Just as expected. They never adapt until forced to." The sunburst was a classic Xeraxian encirclement strategy. 43 capital ships forming an expanding sphere with fast attack vessels filling the gaps. Against a conventional fleet, it was devastating. Against a single vessel, it was overkill that bordered on arrogance. "All hands," Elena's voice echoed throughout the ship. "This is Commander Reyes. The Xeraxians believe they face a conventional vessel with a conventional crew. They believe humanity is technologically inferior and tactically predictable. Today, we prove them wrong." She paused, gathering her thoughts. "Some of you were with me at Proxima Station. You know what these beings are capable of. You know what's at stake. Not just Halcyon Colony, but potentially Earth itself. The Xeraxians don't stop. They don't negotiate after they've committed to conquest." Elena looked around at her bridge crew, the best of humanity, drawn from every continent and colony. Each face reflected determination, fear, courage, the complex mixture that made humans uniquely adaptable. "Neni XUS, Battle Simulation Delta 7, she ordered. The tactical display transformed, showing projected outcomes based on the Defiance's classified capabilities versus the Xeraxian fleet. Even with their technological edge, the simulation showed overwhelming casualties for the Xeraxians, but also the possible destruction of the Defiance. Win or lose, after today, the Xeraxians will never underestimate humanity again. The first wave of Xeraxian vessels broke formation, accelerating toward the lone human ship. Energy weapons charge, creating a web of deadly potential that could vaporize conventional shields in seconds. Incoming fire in 3, 2, 1. Takahashi's countdown was cut short as space lit up with Xeraxian weapons fire. "Neni XUS, initiate adaptive shielding," Elena commanded. "Selective phase shifting. Let's show them our first surprise." The Defiance shimmered as the Xeraxian energy weapons struck, not the catastrophic impacts they expected, but a strange rippling effect as the ship's revolutionary shields adapted in microseconds to each specific energy signature, reflecting, absorbing, or simply allowing the energy to pass through harmlessly. "Shield efficiency at 94%, Dr. Kavita reported, excitement evident in her voice. "NetXUS is learning their weapon frequencies faster than they can adjust." On the Xeraxian command ship, the High Commander watched in disbelief as the human vessel survived the initial barrage, something that hadn't happened in the 17 campaigns it had led. The Defiance responded with pinpoint precision. Its primary weapon system, a cascading quantum disruptor, fired not at the largest vessels, but at specific points in the Xeraxian formation, disrupting their carefully calculated positioning. "Target their communication nodes," Elena ordered. "Neni XUS, identify pattern vulnerabilities." "Pattern analysis complete," the AI responded. "Tactical weakness identified in Sector 4. The Defiance's secondary weapons, hypervelocity missile swarms guided by the ship's AI, launched toward seemingly random points in the Xeraxian formation. Each missile split into dozens of smaller projectiles moments before impact, overwhelming the point defense systems of multiple Xeraxian vessels simultaneously. 3 Xeraxian destroyers erupted into explosive decompression. A 4th spun out of formation, its propulsion systems failing as the Defiance's disruptors interfered with its power distribution. "They're adapting," Takahashi warned. "Changing formation and weapon frequencies." Elena nodded. "As expected. NEXUS, Phase 2. The Defiance suddenly accelerated to speeds the Xeraxians had not believed possible for human technology, slipping between the formation gaps created by their own destroyed vessels. As it passed through the Xeraxian line, it unleashed a sphere of quantum interference that temporarily disabled the targeting systems of nearby enemy ships. "We've identified a critical weakness, Commander," Dr. Kavita reported, pointing to a section of the tactical display. "Their flagship's command and control systems are broadcasting synchronization signals to the entire fleet. If we can disrupt that signal. Elena studied the display. The Xeraxian flagship sat at the center of their formation, surrounded by layers of defensive vessels. Reaching it would mean penetrating the heart of the enemy fleet, a seemingly suicidal maneuver. Mr. Wade, plot course directly for the Xeraxian flagship, Elena ordered. Maximum thrust. Tactical, prepare all weapons for concentrated fire on my mark. Commander, Vargas cautioned, that takes us directly through their heaviest concentration of firepower. Precisely where they won't expect us to go, Elena replied. The Xeraxians value their command hierarchy above all else. They won't risk firing at full capacity when their flagship might be hit in the crossfire. As the Defiance changed course and accelerated toward the center of the Xeraxian formation, the enemy ships hesitated, their coordinated attack patterns momentarily disrupted by the unexpected human tactic. The momentary confusion was all Elena needed. NEXUS, deploy countermeasures. All weapons, target their flagship's communication array. The space around the Defiance erupted with holographic duplicates of the vessel, a technology the Xeraxians had never encountered. Their targeting systems faltered, unable to distinguish the real ship from the dozen identical signatures suddenly appearing throughout their formation. The first part of humanity's stand against the Xeraxian armada had begun. The real test of the Defiance and humanity's future still lay ahead. The reckoning. Chaos erupted across the Xeraxian formation as targeting systems locked onto multiple phantom signatures of the Defiance. The flagship's coordinating signals became erratic, sending contradictory commands to the fleet. Ships fired at empty space or, worse, at each other as the holographic duplicates weaved between them. Elena watched the tactical display with focused intensity. Status of the NEXUS core. Operating at 87% efficiency, Dr. Kavita reported. Heat buildup is within acceptable parameters, but we can't maintain this level of countermeasures indefinitely. The Defiance shuddered as a Xeraxian energy lance found its mark, partially penetrating the adaptive shields. Minor damage to Deck 14, Takahashi reported. Automated systems responding. Elena nodded. They're starting to isolate our real signature from the decoys. NEXUS, recalibrate countermeasures. Mr. Wade, execute maneuver sequence Epsilon. The Defiance suddenly cut all propulsion, allowing momentum to carry it forward while it rotated 180 degrees to bring its aft weapons to bear. The inertial dampeners strained as the ship then accelerated in the opposite direction, firing a precise pattern of quantum disruptors through the space it had just occupied. 3 more Xeraxian vessels exploded, their power cores destabilized by the unexpected attack pattern. Commander, Vargas called out, the Xeraxians are deploying something new. The tactical display showed smaller objects launching from several of the larger Xeraxian ships, hundreds of them, each approximately the size of a shuttlecraft. Analysis, tactical. Takahashi frowned. They appear to be some form of automated combat drone. Minimal shielding but heavily armed. They're forming a containment grid around us. The swarm of drones accelerated toward the Defiance, their combined firepower potentially overwhelming, even for the advanced shields of humanity's flagship. They're adapting faster than anticipated, Dr. Kavita observed. These drones, they're designed to saturate our defensive capabilities. Elena's mind raced through possibilities. The Xeraxians were quick learners in combat, despite their initial arrogance. The drone swarm would be difficult to evade. Dr. Kavita, prepare the NEXUS core for Prometheus protocol, Elena ordered, her voice betraying no hesitation despite the enormity of the command. Kavita's eyes widened. Commander, Prometheus hasn't been field tested. The energy requirements alone cold. We'll drain our reserves for several minutes, I know. Elena finished. But it's exactly what we need right now. Authorization Delta 7 Echo. Aye, Commander. Initializing Prometheus protocol. Throughout the ship, power systems reconfigured as energy was diverted from non-essential systems to the NEXUS core. Lights dimmed across all decks as the revolutionary heart of the Defiance prepared for its most demanding task yet. All hands, brace for potential system fluctuations. Elena announced ship-wide. Prometheus protocol initiating in 30 seconds. The drone swarm closed in, their formation creating a sphere of potential destruction around the human vessel. The first wave fired, hundreds of energy beams converging on the Defiance's position. NEXUS, execute Prometheus protocol. Now. For a brief moment, the Defiance appeared to lose all power. Then, a pulse of energy unlike anything the Ziraxians had ever encountered erupted from the ship in an expanding sphere. As it passed through the drone swarm, each unit simply ceased functioning, their advanced systems completely overloaded by the precisely modulated electromagnetic pulse. On the Ziraxian capital ships, systems flickered and failed as the pulse reached them. The carefully coordinated fleet fell into disarray as communication, weapons, and navigation systems required emergency reboots. Inside the Defiance, emergency lighting cast the bridge in a red glow as non-essential systems remained offline. Prometheus deployment successful, Dr. Caveda reported. NEXUS core temperature critical but stabilizing. Power reserves at 12% and regenerating. How long until we have weapon and propulsion capabilities? Elena asked. 2 minutes for basic maneuverability, 4 for weapons, Takahashi responded. Elena studied the tactical display showing the disorganized Ziraxian fleet. That's enough time. They'll need at least 5 minutes to reset their systems and re-establish fleet coordination. As the Defiance's systems gradually came back online, Elena detected a shift in the Ziraxian fleet's behavior. Rather than regrouping into their standard formations, they were pulling back, creating distance between themselves and the human vessel. They're reassessing, Vargas observed. The Ziraxians don't retreat, but they're definitely repositioning. Elena nodded. They've encountered something they don't understand. That makes us unpredictable, dangerous. She turned to communications. Open a channel to the Ziraxian flagship. This time, when the Ziraxian High Commander appeared on screen, its posture was noticeably different, more guarded, less dismissive. You have demonstrated unexpected capabilities, the Ziraxian stated without preamble. The collective will analyze this encounter. Let me save you some time, Elena replied, her voice steady. The ship you've engaged is the first of a new class. We have 10 more completing construction as we speak, with an additional 15 scheduled for next year. It was a bluff. The Defiance was a prototype, the only one of its kind, but the Ziraxians had no way to verify this claim. Furthermore, Elena continued, the technology you've witnessed today is only our first-generation defensive capability. Our scientists have already developed the next iteration, specifically designed to counter Ziraxian offensive systems. The Ziraxian remained silent, its compound eyes unreadable. You came here expecting an easy conquest, Elena said. Instead, you found that humanity is not the primitive species you believed us to be. We offer you a choice: withdraw from human space permanently, or face a protracted conflict with a species that, as you've seen, can match and even exceed your technological capabilities. The Ziraxian's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of agitation, according to the limited xenobiological data humanity possessed on the species. The collective does not negotiate with. This isn't a negotiation, Elena interrupted. It's a reality you must accept. We've transmitted data on this encounter to every human colony and Earth itself. If the Defiance doesn't return, the next Ziraxian fleet will face multiple vessels with capabilities that far exceed what you've witnessed today. Another bluff, but delivered with such conviction that even her own bridge crew found themselves momentarily believing it. The Ziraxian fell silent again, longer this time. When it spoke, its translator rendered a tone that hadn't been heard before. The collective will reevaluate its assessment of human technological development. This specific campaign will be suspended while new information is processed. The transmission ended abruptly. They're withdrawing, Takahashi confirmed, disbelief evident in his voice as the tactical display showed the Ziraxian fleet reorienting toward deep space, all vessels accelerating away from Halcyon's orbital path. A cheer erupted across the bridge, quickly tempered by professionalism, as Elena raised her hand. "This isn't a victory," she cautioned. "It's a reprieve. The Ziraxians don't abandon conquests. They'd reassess and return with new strategies. But we've bought humanity time. And that's what we needed most." Dr. Kavita approached Elena's command chair. "The NEXUS Corps performed beyond our most optimistic projections," she said quietly. "But there are improvements we need to make before we face them again." Elena nodded. "And we will make them. Send a priority transmission to Earth Command. Tell them humanity has proven itself against the most formidable force in the galaxy, but our work has just begun." As the Defiant set course for Halcyon Colony, Elena gazed at the stars visible through the bridge viewport. Humanity had survived its first major encounter with the Ziraxian collective, not through overwhelming force or numerical superiority, but through innovation, adaptability, and the willingness to stand against impossible odds. The news would spread rapidly throughout human space. One ship had faced an armada and emerged not just intact, but victorious. It would change humanity's perception of itself in the cosmos, transforming them from cautious explorers to confident defenders of their expanding territory. In the quiet of slipstream space, Elena reviewed the battle footage. Despite their success, the encounter had revealed both strengths and vulnerabilities in the Defiance's systems. The Ziraxians would analyze their defeat just as thoroughly, developing countermeasures for their next encounter. "Commander," Vargas said, breaking the silence, "Earth Command acknowledges our transmission. They've authorized immediate production of 2 additional vessels based on the Defiance design." Elena smiled. Her bluff to the Ziraxians was becoming truth faster than she had anticipated. "Priority message from Admiral Chen. Communications added. For your eyes only, Commander." The message was brief but unprecedented. "Rise. The Defiance has earned its name. Effective immediately, you are promoted to Commodore with authority to oversee the expansion of the Defiance-class program. Humanity's survival may depend on how quickly we can build upon what you've accomplished today." As news of the encounter spread throughout human colonies, something changed in the collective consciousness of the species. The universe had just witnessed what a single human ship could accomplish against overwhelming odds. It was a statement that would echo across the stars. Humanity would not be conquered. Humanity would not be contained. The Ziraxians had awakened something in their would-be conquest, a determination that would transform humanity from a regional presence into a galactic force to be reckoned with. The Defiance had lived up to its name, and in doing so, had redefined humanity's place among the stars.